So I'm finding out that Trump supporters are upset because they're about to lose their health care and their insurance, and their children that are under the age of 26 are about to be kicked off because they voted to repeal the Affordable Health Care Act. And they didn't even realize that they were doing this. And I'm going to pretend that they're not racist.
I'm not naive about the fact that the President of the United States made $1.5 billion plus in the last 12 months. Personally,
MAGA spent years telling
the illusion of political branding is crashing down in real time, leaving millions of voters to discover that the safety net they cheered to dismantle was the exact thing keeping their own families afloat. From the fatal confusion between Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act to catastrophic Medicaid cuts disguised as fiscal discipline, the rhetoric of resentment is colliding with the harsh reality of kitchen table survival. When political slogans replace basic economics, the cruelty of a policy only sounds different once the person needing help is suddenly you. Let's jump straight into the analysis of how political marketing weaponized ignorance and why the fallout is hitting the very people who voted for it.
$1,000 to put down on their new first home, and you had all these people on the right going, where are we going to get the money for this? Oh my God, this is going to bankrupt us. Who's paying for this? I'm not paying for this. No, nobody help me. Where are those people now? Now that it's been discovered that Pete Hegseth has wasted and gone through $93 billion. You have Kristi Noem spending $420 million between ads and between two planes. You have $150 million spent by the man himself to go play golf every weekend at Mar-a-Lago. Where are you now? Dead silence is where you are. My question to you is, why are you so opposed to our taxes going back to help the working poor and the working middle class? But when we start a new war and it costs us $1 billion plus per day, you're silent. When there's wasteful spending, inside corruption, in fact, regarding our finances and the government, like with Pete and Kristi and Trump, you're nowhere to be found. What is it you have against the working class? Because after all, you are part of the working class too.
True.
Why? It's them or it's us. Why do you pick them?
One thing I love about some of these videos is the MAGA people that are making these apology videos for voting for this administration. This one is funny. It's quick. She's like, I just won't say I'm sorry. I have to vote for him.
I need to say I'm sorry. I voted for him.
I'm real sorry. I didn't know. I thought he was going to make things better for us.
I thought he was going to help folks like me. I really did.
Now my staff's gone. I can't buy my groceries. I can't put my lights on. First of all, the groceries you shouldn't worry about. Anyway, I just can't believe it now.
They cut off my heat and help last week. I don't know how I'm supposed to buy groceries next month to keep the lights on.
Now, what about my diabetes? My diabetes, man, is acting up. Can't feel my foot, can't feel my feet, and I didn't even the do.
Now my SNAP's gone, my Medicaid's gone.
Get out of here. This is what you voted for. You voted because you thought black people were going to get f***ed, didn't you? Black folks, especially black Americans, have been living with nothing for the longest time. So surviving is very, very easy. Very easy. You understand? That's why black folks are playing it smart. We're moving as a unit. You know, other than some of the sellout. But other than that, black people are moving in a way where we're not even being bothered. Oh my God. Oh my God, the country's in shambles. Oh, they're being unfair. Black folks are like, yo, man, I'm going to Costco. What you about to do? So, hey, man, it is what it is. You voted for your own advice. And that's just the way it goes.
So I keep getting these comments that the cuts, this big, beautiful bill, is not going to impact seniors. Yes, it is. Absolutely, 100% it is. And I can tell you this because I work in this business, been doing this a long time. So these Medicaid cuts that are coming, the $1 trillion in Medicaid cuts are going to cut millions off of Medicaid. And that's going to include seniors who receive Medicaid for their long-term care in nursing home and assisted living. Medicaid covers that, not Medicare. It's not the same thing. It's a special Medicaid coverage, a Medicaid waiver that pays for nursing home and assisted living. Medicare doesn't cover anything long-term for living, okay? It just doesn't. So, people that think they know what they're talking about, oh, seniors get Medicare, it's not going to impact them. Medicaid isn't for seniors. That's false. Those seniors that are in assisted living and nursing home, they're getting Medicaid. They might have Medicare too, but they have Medicaid coverage for the long-term care. So there's a lot of misinformed people making really stupid comments, and I really wish y'all would just shut the fuck up if you don't know what you're talking about.
You think you don't have Medicaid, but you have Medicaid. Do you see this comment and this viral video? Do you know most states don't call it Medicaid? MAGA. 20% of the population has Medicaid. 78 million people. In Indiana, it is called Hoosier Healthwise. Hoosier Healthwise. That's what it's called, not Medicaid. And Hoosier Health Care Connect. In Tennessee, Medicaid is called TennCare. In Alaska, it is called Denali Care. Every single state almost has a different name for Medicaid than what it is. You better pay attention to this comment, and you better pay attention to this post, because 20% of Americans have Medicaid. And if you voted against your own interest and your Medicaid is going to get canceled, you voted for it. I have done 3 posts naming several states with different names of Medicaid. MAGA, you better pay attention, because it's very likely if you live in a red...
What these viral regret videos and shifting political landscapes truly expose is a dangerous cultural blind spot. The belief that a safety net is a luxury for the undeserving rather than a necessity for the human condition. For years, voters were conditioned to cheer for policy cuts under the assumption that the consequences would exclusively land on strangers, minorities, or political adversaries. But a cancer diagnosis, a sudden disability, or the loss of long-term care does not check your voter registration or care how you felt about a political label. True remorse is not merely realizing a policy hurts you personally. It is recognizing the systemic harm it inflicted on everyone else long before it arrived at your front door. Empathy cannot operate as a private membership program where rights and protections only matter once your own family is in crisis. As political theater continues to drive major policy shifts, from foreign conflicts impacting the economy to rural hospitals facing imminent collapse, the underlying lesson remains stark. If we only value compassion after tragedy strikes home, we are not practicing democracy. We are simply waiting our turn to suffer the very policies we endorsed.
Strike. For context, this was Donald Trump announcing one of the largest bombing raids in the history of the Middle East, going after Karg Island, which is Iran's crown jewel when it comes to oil exports and infrastructure. Again, notice, by the way, how he waited until Friday evening after stock markets closed for the weekend to do this, because come Monday, it's going to be an absolute bloodbath. And think about the fact that oil prices are already surging right now, gas prices are soaring, and we should see that continue in an exponential way because of this latest attack. Yet you've got guys like J.D. Vance saying that the gas prices are the result of Joe Biden. Joe Biden was president almost 2 years ago now. He is in no way, shape, or form responsible for Donald Trump driving up energy prices by starting another quagmire in the Middle East.
Watching that woman in Tennessee now, right, who was watching her DoorDasher struggle to get up the steps, realizing this was a very elderly man who was DoorDashing her food. She tipped him $200 and then was like, no, I need to figure out what's going on. She then hunts him down, finds him, finds out this elderly man was working 10 to 12 hours a day DoorDashing. Why? Because his Social Security was barely anything, and his wife lost her job, and just one of her medications was over $2,000, plus all of her other medications, because she's also diabetic, has kidney disease. All of his medications they couldn't afford to survive, so they started DoorDashing 10 to 12 hours a day. A woman in Tennessee starts a GoFundMe hoping to make $20,000 for this couple, and she tells Richard, who everyone is now calling Papa Richard, and his wife Brenda, she's going to try to raise this money for him. He's like, that is absolutely amazing. I would only have to work maybe 6 or 8 hours a day if we had money like that to fall back on. And within 48 hours, not only did she raise the $20,000, that would make it to where he would only have to work 6 to 8 hours, which is most people's regular workday. She raised over $400,000 within 48 hours. And it's day 3 today, and I haven't looked to see, but it's Richard in Tennessee. That's the GoFundMe. I think it's like help him rest again. People who are donating, we're talking $10. This isn't just like a handful of people donating a ton of money. We're talking an average of a $10 donation. And enough people have donated to surpass $400,000 for an elderly couple having to work 10 to 12 hours a day just to afford their medication.
MAGA and all the Trump supporters, I would like for you to know and understand that for the month of November and probably December, there will be no SNAP benefits, okay? There will be no EBT, there will be no food stamp benefits for the month of November. And with that being said, there will also be no Medicaid. And then, you know, I'm also hearing through the grapevine, hearing through the streets is talking, that military healthcare is down right now. And they can't explain why. Medicaid is down right now. And they can't explain why. And, you know, for all the supporters out there, how many of you receive food stamps to feed your children? Next month will be Thanksgiving. They will be out of school for what, a week? Your kids are going to be out of school for a week with no food. You're going to have a Thanksgiving with no food. How's that? And then all of the supporters who were in the military and were serving this big, beautiful country that you love, you won't be getting any health care next month. Oh, you probably are getting it now. I forgot. It's they don't know what's wrong with it, and they can't explain what's wrong with it, and they're not giving an update on when it'll be back up. So there's that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Me, on the other hand, you know, I'm not worried about it. Because you know what? The way God covers me, baby, we covered in the blood around these parts. So I believe not one of my children will be hungry. I believe not one of my children will be sick with any ailments, and they won't need to go to any doctors or anything like that. I believe that there will be no shortage of food in my house. And then, get this. While we supposed to be over here starving and can't get no motherfucking health care, he just sent Argentina $20 billion.
One of the biggest misunderstandings running through these stories is the idea that Medicaid is some
coffin of American civil life, right? Is taking your health care away from you. So granny dies of diabetes and your child dies of Victorian era illnesses. What? They wanted to take away our health care. But in order to do that, they were going to claim that Democrats in Senate and in Congress wanted to give it to people who are here undocumented, even though people who are here undocumented don't have Medicaid. They can't get benefits. They can get treated in a hospital because of ethics, but they're going to get a bill. No matter how many times the Republicans say, oh, Democrats want to give illegal. I don't care. Does that mean I shouldn't have mine? You shouldn't have yours? So thank you, Democrats, for getting the balls to walk off the floor of a fight where the opposite team has torn up the rule book and thrown it away. I ain't going to play that game with them. No, I want you to come back, and I want you to play as hard, as tough, and as unfair, because if these motherfuckers are ever out of office, if they have not sewn us into some modern day Orwellian remake, because you know Hollywood love the remakes, I want you to come back as fierce and ferociously as you did. I want Donald Trump erased from the White House. I don't want his portrait hanging there. I want this country to forget this ugly chapter for every woman, for every brown person, for every black person, for every gay person, for every trans person, for every child, for every elderly person who is dependent on medication, for every disabled person who has to have accessibility in order to survive in this country. They would rather see you dead. And they're going to sit there and say that the reason Democrats shut down, that they can even get that far and try to convince you that Democrats shut down government when Republicans are the ones who left town and refused to continue to deal with Democrats and instead insisted they take away your health care access. I would say Democrats go on a long vacation, honey. Don't let them do a damn thing.
is begging. Trump is pleading with other countries. Please help us. Please come with us to the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, we don't want to go by ourselves, get blown up, and then look crazy. Yeah, he's begging for help because he had no plan for the Strait of Hormuz. Embarrassing as it is to say, the man clearly, this administration has no plan whatsoever. And everyone knew this would happen. Everyone. There isn't a single oil person that didn't know that Iran would do something exactly like this. And our government is somehow shocked and is somehow unprepared. That shows you how far behind this administration is. They simply have no idea what they are doing. And this here is a complete and total embarrassment. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like and follow for more.
Hatred and bigotry is about to cost red states and red voters their hospitals and healthcare, and they have no understanding that that's what's going to happen and that the Democrats are actually trying to fight for them. See, Trump's big, beautiful bill cuts Medicaid, and here's the truth. MAGA has no understanding of how Medicaid works. See, Medicaid isn't just some line item. It's a federal and state partnership. The federal government pays a percentage of each state's Medicaid costs through something called FMAP, the Federal Medical Assistance Percentage. And here's the thing. Red states get the highest FMAP. The poorer the state, the bigger the federal share. For example, Mississippi gets 77% of their Medicaid paid by the federal government. West Virginia, 75%. Kentucky, Arkansas, Louisiana, 70% and more. Meanwhile, wealthier states like California only get 50% of the Medicaid bill federally funded. New York, just 55%. So when Donald Trump and Republicans slash Medicaid, it's not blue states that collapse. California and New York already fund nearly half of their own programs. They'll manage. It's red states that get destroyed. They depend on the federal government's dollars. They depend on the very federal funds that MAGA is now cutting off. So what happens when that money disappears? States are going to kick people off Medicaid who currently qualify. Rural hospitals, which are already barely hanging on, are going to shut down. Seniors, kids, pregnant women, and people with disabilities are going to lose care. And here's the ironic part about it. Most Medicaid recipients live in red states. Blue states will be fine. Red states will lose their safety net. And meanwhile, the Democrats are the ones fighting to protect those very programs in the budget negotiations happening right now. Democrats are trying to keep Medicaid so that the rural hospitals don't close, so that families in Mississippi, West Virginia, and Kentucky don't get abandoned. So let's call this what it is. Trump and MAGA are cheering for cuts that will devastate their own voters. Democrats are trying to save, even while being vilified for it. MAGA doesn't drain the swamp. MAGA drains your hospital, your doctor, and your lifeline. And the cruelest part, the very voters that are cheering the loudest for Trump will be the first ones thrown off their health care.
Here's the thing. If you're a 3 times Trumper and you're one of the people who voted us into the mess that we're currently a part of, and you're now just starting to regret that decision, I don't think you get to come out and post that on the internet and try and recenter yourself in the conversation. It's your opportunity to sit the fuck back and listen to the people who have been anti-Trump since a fucking decade ago. But instead you come online and now you're...
And today I'm asking for one human act of compassion to please let my dad come home.
Quick question. Did you think that the American flag stood for compassion and kindness when you voted for who you voted for? Because let me show you something.
And the science and experience we've developed here will live on through you. On behalf of the board, the leadership team, and myself personally, thank you for your passion, your ideas, and your perseverance. Perhaps more importantly, while we assembled phenomenal individuals together as a team, we fostered an even more phenomenal culture together. While war in its current state will not continue, our culture will ensure so many of these relationships will continue going forward, both professionally and personally. Your work mattered. It still matters.
That was my CEO, shutting down our entire company, where that man has dedicated his life to science and treating cancer patients such as your father. And we had to stop. All of us got laid off because of your vote. So let me ask you another question. Would you still regret your vote if this didn't happen to you personally? Because I went back a couple of videos on your page to find out where was the outrage when this happened to a child, an American child that was deported mid-cancer treatment. And what I saw on your page was you being hot. I didn't see you being outraged. I didn't see you being upset. I didn't see you speaking up. So your cry is not really regret or remorse. Your cry is entitlement. You're crying because you were told no. You're crying because they denied you. Because if they had accepted your father to stay here, you wouldn't regret your vote. You would think that your president was still your hero. Because the outrage, the remorse, and the regret should have started months ago when this was happening to other people. When this was happening to thousands of other people that also have families, that also have children, that also have wives. You didn't care back then. Now you care?
Dear President Trump, I know I don't look so good. I've been undergoing chemotherapy since May, and it takes a lot out of you. The good news is that Obamacare is keeping me alive and can cure my stage 4 cancer, but I need to keep my insurance. Your latest plan will put me and millions of other Americans at risk. Throwing us to the mercy of the insurance companies is not the way to go. We need the protections of the Affordable Care Act so that people with pre-existing conditions will be covered. We need somebody that will stand up for us rather than selling us out.
An unemployed Trump voter who said they voted for Trump because he promised to kill Obamacare, but says he hopes Trump keeps his hands off the Affordable Care Act, which he relies upon. Obamacare is the Affordable Care Act. Here's what this guy wrote online. He wrote the following, quote, I just voted for him because he's going to kill Obamacare. I am unemployed and Obamacare effing sucks. I'd rather just have the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, by itself instead of this communism shit. And then someone responded to him by saying, Obamacare is the ACA. It is literally keeping you alive. You voted to take away your health care. And then the original poster wrote back, quote, why the F do people have two different names for it? Obama equals bad and affordable equals good. I effing hate Democrats. Well, if you remember, it was the Republicans who branded it as Obamacare originally to try to scare people like you. Maybe your hate should be directed at those trying to take away your health care and not the people who are trying to actually save your life. How about that?
All of these Trump voters admitting that they didn't realize that Obamacare was the Affordable Care Act when they vehemently hated Obamacare is one of the most openly racist things I've ever seen in my life. Like, I don't understand how they don't have the critical thinking and the thought process to just know not to say that out loud because of just how simply racist it is that they were so against Obamacare just because they associated it with Obama, which was the point. That's why Republicans coined Obamacare, so that racist people would hate it without understanding what it was. And that's exactly what they're admitting happened by saying they hated Obamacare and they thought Trump was going to get rid of Obamacare, but they have the Affordable Care Act and they didn't realize they were the same thing. I wish they could, like, I don't wish that they would keep it in, but it's insane to me that they don't have like the maybe 2 or 3 step thought process that tells them don't share that out loud because you are self-exposing that you are super racist.
Big beautiful bill Medicaid cuts. I'm for it because I'm an able-bodied American citizen right now. I'm headed to work. I work at least 40 hours a week. People need to stop just getting free benefits. If you can go to work, you need to go to work because we're tired of paying for everybody. So Medicaid cuts, we're here for it.
Here's my mother-in-law. She worked 40 hours a week too at the same company for 32 years and she was union and then she got brain tumors and she lost her health insurance because if you're not working, you're going to lose your health insurance and then Medicaid and Medicare kick in. Every single person is one tragedy away from having to be on Medicaid and Medicare. You're one brain tumor, one car accident, and for you specifically, looking at you, I can tell you're one heart attack away from needing Medicaid and Medicare. Now, I know that you think everybody that's on them is lazy illegals, but guess what? One day, you're gonna need it and you're not gonna have it. And it's not you that's paying everything. It's people like me, the younger generation, that are paying for that, for you, for her. Now, thank God that she had successful children that can subsidize her way of life, because Medicare and Medicaid, it don't cover it all. You're going to be in poverty forever, and you're going to lose your house. You're going to lose your home. You're going to lose everything that you ever worked for, and you're going to have to move in with your kids. So I hope that you have fucking rich kids, because you just made that little tiny entitlement that you're going to need fucking smaller. I would like people like you to think of the future. You're going to need it. For you, it's probably going to be a couple years, all right? Because I could tell you've probably been eating butter and fried chicken for the last 20 years.
What these stories expose is the danger of treating a safety net like something only other people need. For years, MAGA politics has turned healthcare assistance into a morality play. Medicaid becomes welfare for the lazy.